Hello everyone, welcome to today's lecture. Today we're going to talk about management. Also, we're going to talk about event staffing. So what is management? So management is the process of accomplishing organization's goal by dealing with the resources constraints. So based on these theories, we know the management is basically is we need to go and set up the goal first, and also make sure this goal is achievable, and then we're going to work with very limited resources. Also, we're going to work through people, right? So if you work for an event, for instance, so you know we have a limited resources, we have certain amounts of budget we can spend on marketing, we have very limited connections, and also to achieve this goal, we also need to learn how to work with different people. Those people including those internal stakeholders, the people who work directly for the events, like volunteers, like the event staff, and also we have to learn how to collaborate and work with external stakeholders. Those people are not directly work for the event, but have huge impact to these events, like our clients, our sponsors, and our working partners. So this is the management. So we need to learn how to work with different peoples using our limited resources and achieve the goal that we set. For the management, if in the events, we can look at 3P. The first one is place. So place is basically a physical built environments, right? So this related to facility management, right? So we need to learn how we are able to maintain the facilities, how we be able to update the facility and upgrade the facility to make sure the facilities is well maintained and be able to use for rentals and for other purpose. And so the second P is process. Process is we are going to examine whether the process is efficiency. So give example, when we try to provide service to all those spectators and participants, we want to know whether the service we provide are very comfortable for them, whether they feel very easy to go through the entire process. So for instance, people who buy the tickets, right? So for the process is the customer need to know how they're able to buy a ticket, how they're able to pick up the ticket. When they pick up the tickets, when they get access to stadiums, they would like to spend the limits, the time to find out their seat. And so this is the process. We need to make sure the whole process is very effective, very efficient. The third piece we like to emphasize here is people. Management is all about working with different people. We have different types of people who might have a completely different interest, have different motivation coming to work. So we need to figure out how we be able to motivate them, how we be able to engage with them, how we be able to inspire them to be more productive in their workplace. Also, we have to learn how we be able to enhance their work satisfaction, have that satisfactions with their work. So for the management, generally speaking, it has 4 functions. We have a planning, we have organizing, we have leading, we also have a controlling. So planning is we need to go and set the goal and objective, and the development of detailed methods to achieve this goal and objective. For the organizing is the process through which a manager coordinates the efforts of the employees to achieve the goal that outlined in the planning process. The leading indicate also we consider them as implementing, right? It's basically we're putting the plan into the actions. So the leading process, communication, is very important. How be able to communicate with different stakeholders and to make sure they're able to contribute their part to keep things going. The last one is controlling. Sometimes we also call evaluating. So controlling for the evaluating is we try to keep the performance of the employees on schedules and also according to the plan. So make sure we try to keep the process on the right track, right? So those are 4 different functions. So those 4 functions are rotate and also collaborate with each other. They're not completely separate. They collaborate with each other. So we start with the planning part. So planning is basically to define where the organization wants to be in the future and how to get there. So basically, the planning is you first of all need to understand where we are right now. Where are we right now? Right. So also we need to understand where we want to go and where we want to be. To develop a goal, we normally follow what we call SMART principle. SMART means specific, matchable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Specific goal, that means we need to provide more detail and which can give people the idea and understand exactly what is expected and who is involved into the process. For the matchable goal, they can help us stay on track to ensure all those key dates, deadlines, and requirements are met. Attainable goal are those goals that you set up should not be too aggressive or too easy for the organization to meet, right? So make sure the goal you set up is achievable, right? And the next one is called realistic. So realistic is when we set the goal, they need to be very realistic. So make sure when we set the goal, we have to consider organization's capabilities and how we be able to control the process. Be realistic. And also for the timely, that means the goal should have a deadline for completion. So keep the staff on track and also discourage them from putting the task off, right? So the planning process normally start with, if an event or organization, we need to start with the development vision, mission statement first, and then we're going to set the goals, set the objective, and identify the tactic or strategies, right? So we have 4 types of the planning. We have a long-term plan, short-term plan, standing plan, and single-use plan. Short-term plan is we plan for our event in 1 to 3 years. Long-term plan is we're going to plan for events or project for 3 or longer years in the futures. So I'll give you an example. When New Orleans is bidding for 2023 Super Bowl, so that's a short-term plan, right? Because that is something that's going to happen in the next 2 years. So this is a short-term plan. For the long-term plan, it's talking about we're going to plan something 3 years or longer in the futures. One of the examples is like Salt Lake City is currently planning to bid for the 2030 Winter Olympic Games. Right, the long-term plan for this process is we're going to develop a plan to see how we be able to get there. So how we'll be able to use different existing facilities to develop sports events that can happen like 9 years, 10 years later. Right, so this is a long-term plan. Standing plan is talking about we're going to have a plan. We're going to be using this plan all the time. We keep repeatedly using the same plans. Example is like when we have the if we're having like an amateur sports league, like a basketball team, it has 23 home games a season. So 23 games, we're using the same plan every time to set up for the games, to help them prepare, and also to examine the process of the operation. That's a standing plan. Last one is called single-use plan. Single-use plan, that means we're going to plan for something that we are only going to use that for once, right? So one example, we talk about New Orleans is trying to host the 2023 Super Bowl, right? So Super Bowl is not happening every year, maybe only the next time when they have the chance to host Super Bowl again, maybe 30, 40 years later. So this is kind of like one-time plan. We develop a plan that we only use for one time to help us achieve a specific goal in the near future. The planning process normally starts with to develop vision, mission statement, create goal, set up objective, develop tactics, assign roles, and eventually we have to evaluate. Vision and mission statement, a lot of classes we actually talk about vision and mission statements. When you talk about marketing, you talk about management, vision and vision statements kind of important. Right, so what are the differences between vision and mission statement? Vision statement is a statement of what your organization will become in the future. normally it's a future aspirations, right? It's normally a broad statements. I'll give you example. IPC, which is International Paralympic Committee, their vision is to enable para-athletes to achieve sporting excellence and inspire and excite the world. So look at the vision, very broad, kind of like a vague statement, right? So what they're trying to do is allow para-athletes to have the opportunity to achieve their best, right? And also use through their participation through sport that can inspire next generation and also inspire the entire world. So that's the visions. Very vague statements. They didn't tell you where this organization will go to. They just give you a broad aspirations. In terms of mission statement, we normally will include organization's purpose. We will talk about your philosophy, talk about your value, describe who we are, what we do, and also we're using concise terms and languages. So for the mission statement, normally it's a living document, so they are suggest to change. Vision statement, when you create one for events, you're unlikely to change that, but mission statement, you're very likely to change it based on the thing you provide. So one of the example is Boston Athletic Association, which is the event hoster for the Boston marathons. So their mission statement is Boston Athletic Association, established in 1887, is a non-for-profit organization with a mission of promoting a healthy lifestyle through sport, especially running. Right, so in their mission statement, first of all, they describe who we are, what we do. So they talk about Boston Athletic Association, established in what year, is a non-profit organization, right? And what they do is try to achieve a mission, which is promote healthy lifestyle through work, through running, the sport, right? So when you read these two statements, you find out, obviously you understand what the Boston Athletic Association, what they're doing on a daily basis. But when you read IPC, which is International Paralympic Committee, you possibly have no idea what they do on the daily operation. So those are different. So mission statement is a lot more specific, provide a lot more details, which could help you to achieve these whole things. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to develop goal and objective. So the differences between goal and objective, goal is broad statement, qualitative nature, provide your general directions, and achievable. Objective is normally quantitative in nature, which means you need to have numbers there, right? So because we have numbers, so we are able to measure this objective. This statement need to be realistic, need to be very clear, and everyone understand what you're trying to do. And also all the objectives we develop need to tie very closely with the specific goals. Kind of like goal is a broad statement, objective is kind of specific goal, provide more detail for each of the goal we create. We'll give you an example. If the goal for a local cycling event is to increase revenue, what will be their objective? Right? Very broad statement, just increase revenues. And specific goal, which is objective, will be we could increase participants by 200 because we have a lot more participants, so we'll be able to generate more revenue because they have to pay for the registration fee, right? We can add 2 more sponsors. That also means we'll be able to get more money. We can also increase ticket revenues by 10%, which is also help us meet the goal that is increase revenues. So this is a goal and objective. The next one is about tactics and role. Planning process. We need to go and come up with the idea. Since we set the goal already, so we need to have the tactic or strategies. So for the tactics, it's basically specific actions and how to do steps, usually help us to achieve this objective. And for the role is, since we have developed strategies, we would like to assign this particular task for each department, let them work together to help us achieve the objective we mentioned previously. Right. So I'll give you an example. We do the same example. For the cycling event, they want to increase revenues, right? They want to increase participants, add more sponsors, and increase ticket sales. What will be their strategy. The strategy will be to increase the participants. You can discount the registration fee for students, create some team events, so then we allow more people to sign up for this event, right? So who will be responsible for that related roles? Like operation department and registration department, they will have to go and figure out the plan, implement the plan, right? For add to more sponsors, what we can do is we can provide valuable sponsorship packages, reach out to these potential sponsors and provide them more benefits. So who should be responsible for this particular strategy? It's the sales teams. Next one is ticket sales revenue increased by 10%. How should we do? We can organize a promotional night. We can sell a tournament package, right? So who should be responsible for that? Marketing and sales department should be responsible for implementing those strategy that we just mentioned. Okay, so this is about planning process. Try to give you a quick feedback review again. So we have to develop vision, mission statement, set the goal and objective, develop tactics, assign a role, and eventually we're going to evaluate whether we have met this goal and objective that we create or not. So let's combine all the things we just talked about together to look at these quick case studies. So if you're currently a senior managers at one university's athletic department, one of the biggest challenges you are facing is the home attendance at college football games has been declining for the 5 consistent years. So as athletic department, your goal is to encourage more enrolled students to watch the football games this season. Please use the step of the planning process we mentioned previously to develop some effective strategy to increase the attendance. So the notes is the football teams has 3 home games this season, right? So we talk about the fact for this case, very brief case, right? We have low attendance in football game in the past 5 years. We want to increase the attendance for the football games. We have 7 home games. We also set the target. We try to target these students because students will be more likely to come and watch the game. So we need to go and think about it. So the planning process will be, what will be the goal is increase students' attendance at the college's football games, right? So this goal is measurable and concrete, right? The objective is we're going to increase each game's student attendance by 5%, right? So this is also for these objectives, obviously, it's very clear, measurable, and also you'll be able to know what directions you would like to achieve, you would like to go. The tactics, how can we increase game attendance by 5%, student attendance? So we can work with students' organization, where there are so many different organizations on campus. We can work with them. We can provide them some discount package to see whether we'll be able to have more attendance, right? We can develop some theme nights, give them the opportunity to get to know a little bit about the event that we're hosting. We can distribute the promote items. You know, who doesn't like free stuff? Everyone likes free stuff. Give them some free stuff, and during the games, encourage people to attend. Schedules like giveaway night. So some of the games, we're going to give away some gift to the fans, try to encourage them to attend. We can also develop some ticket pricing package for students, season ticket holders, right? Let them enjoy the benefits. Who should be responsible for all those strategy or tactics that we just developed? So marketing, PR, and sales department will be responsible for that. Right, so this is how the planning process can be utilized in an event planning setting. This first function is planning. The second function is organizing. The organizing function is like putting plan into action. Managers, they will determine what types of job need to be performed and who need to be responsible for doing these kind of jobs, right? So organizing normally involves, we try to break down the total work and has to complete into different kind of jobs. We try to create a plan to coordinate how this job to be assigned to the individuals and complete, right? So we know we need to organize these events, but to organize this event, we also understand there are many different things that we need to work on. So organizing is basically we are going to base on the function or task that we would like to complete, and then we're gonna create this task. So for instance, we need someone to be responsible for ticket sales. So we have ticket sales team. We have someone need to be responsible for marketing, someone responsible for accounting, someone who's responsible for event setups, facility setups, right? So those are all have team. We need someone PR, right, to develop the public relations with the local partners. So we also have someone need to be responsible for that. So based on the function, we can create some position and also write out the responsibility. So the goal for having this is everyone understand what they have to do on a daily basis. So there's not conflict between each of these employees working together. So to be better organized in the organization, we normally would consider to develop our organizational chart. A chart shows the variety of the position within our organization and reporting the strength for these positions. So why do we need to have an organizational chart? First of all, they can help identify the responsibility and accountabilities. Everyone assign their role. Every role associated with their responsibility. So everyone understand what they have to do on a daily basis. You don't have to teach them, say, hey, Simon, you have to do this. Sam, you have to do the other things today. So they all understand what they need to do, right? So that's the things. They also help you with the decision-making process. They help you understand who is your manager that you can report to and what is the communication process, right? What is the top-down communication process? So this is about the goals of having an organizational chart. Let's look at a great example. So hosting an event. So this is an example of what the organizational chart looks like. So first of all, we want someone to be responsible for the venue, someone responsible for the programming, someone responsible for equipment, promotions, officials, coordinators, possibilities, and merchandising. So each of the function, we also need different people work for the different things. So this is organizational chart. So as an event director, so it's a lot easier for you to go and find the people. So if you're currently saying, there are two business express very strong interest to sponsor your event. So you know you're not going to talk to everyone about it. So you're going to talk to someone who mainly responsible for this, like promotional coordinator. They say, hey, we have someone else who's really interested in sponsors for this event. So should you just send someone else to them? So, and then you can just go and negotiate, right? When you reach out agreements, and then we could have like possibility coordinator to help you to develop a plan how we be able to accommodate their particular request. So this is about organizational chart. When we create this organizational chart, also let us know how many people do we need in order to deliver the entire event. So this is related to staffing, right? Staffing that involve to make sure whether we have enough staff in the organization, which can help us achieve the organizational goal. So staffing normally involved with very effective recruitment and selection process of people to fill the position within the organization. So to hire people, we have 3 different people that we can always hire for the event. The first one is paid staff. So the people work full-time, either full-time, either part-time, so they got paid directly from you. Second one is temporary employee. Well, a lot of time it's a volunteer. Just like some students maybe get internships during the summer, right? So for these interns, you are like volunteer a lot of time. You don't get paid. You're volunteers, right? A lot of time, we won't be able to do things by ourselves. We decided to outsource to the third party and let them to do. So let's look at 3 different groups one by one. The first one is we're going to hire staff. To hire staff, either they're full-time or part-time, so we have to go through these 3 processes. So first of all, it's a recruitment. We're going to create a job announcement to outline the position and the work that will be performed. So in the job description, including title, position, responsibility, skill, education, and experience requirement. And then we're going to send out these job announcements on the job website to see who are interested and qualified for the position. So a lot of people apply. Some are really qualified, some are above, some are beyond. and also some much less qualified, completely not qualified at all. So you will need to go through a selection process. Maybe 100 people want to apply for these 2 positions. You're going to narrow down the candidate pool. You're going to conduct either phone interview, Skype interview, or on-site interview. So round interview that can help you understand each candidate better to see who is going to be a best fit for your position, right? We have look at their resume, cover letters, and we'll also we contact their references, and they help you select the best candidates, right? When you select the best candidate normally also would like to negotiate for the contract, the agreements. So what will be their base salaries, what will be the bonus each year. So those are things that you would like to negotiate. And when we hire people, so we have to go through a training process, how they understand about organizational culture, the orientation, we help them understand what they have to do on a daily basis. Also help them to know about what expectation will be, and also how are we going to examine their performance on the job place. And also we need to go learn about the retention, right? We try to keep the employee longer. So this is about hiring staff. And the second type of stuff is called volunteering, right? Even to save the money, we don't need the full-time staff or part-time staff all the time. A lot of time, we need volunteer. They're temporary employee that come over here, showed up, help you with the event operations. So for the volunteers, those are someone who is willing to give unpaid help in form of time, service, or skill through the organization or groups. To recruit volunteer, although they're unpaid employee, but there is a lifeblood of the sports events. So we also need to understand about their need and interest, although they're not paid, right? Appreciate the help. We need to understand their need. Some volunteers, they may want to just try to accumulate experience, which can help them find a job in the long term in the future. So we need to understand what they need. Some of them just need the experience. Some of them want to have experience, want to have the reference letters. Some of them are expecting to build up a career here, maybe to see whether it's possible in the future they can find a positions here. Some of them just want to use this one as experience to build up their personal network, to get to know more people. Right, so everyone will have a very different need and demands. So we need to understand about their motivations. Try to identify who might have the interest in volunteering, and also place them in the right position that will match their skills. Right. So what would be the motivation for the volunteer? We talk about volunteer. They of course not looking for the economics motivation, because they don't ask for money, right? So that's gonna be a reason why they want to dedicate their time and efforts to these events. So they, based on the research, there are multiple different reasons why people want to be a volunteer of the event. The first thing is the value. They see the value. They love contribute to the community, to the society. So value is one of the key motivation. Second motivation, based on the research, is patriotism. Some of the international sports events, so to host the international sports event, you have the audiences, you have the participants, you have the spectator for all around the world, all the places. So to make sure the events are able to be held successfully, a lot of people would like to use this event to express their patriotism, support the country, support the communities, right? Some people care more about interpersonal contact, right? Try to have a lot more interaction with other people. So they want to be a volunteer of the event. Career orientation is someone who are expecting to get to know more people. Maybe they're able to meet someone that is going to be playing a very important role in their career. So they want to use this great opportunity to develop their career as well, develop their connection in a network in the career. Personal growth is another motivation. Personal goal, that means some like students, why do you want to get this internship? A lot of time is you want to have that experience, understand whether you like or dislike the thing that you're doing, right? You want to increase some sort of skill, maybe using this internship as an opportunity to learn how to use different software, and so those kind of like personal growth. And extrinsic reward is some volunteers actually are motivated by extrinsic reward, such as they would like to have the all the volunteers normally have the uniform, right? So they would like to have the uniforms, or they're able to directly interact with these well-known athletes. It's kind of like extrinsic reward. If you're not doing volunteer job, you won't have the opportunity to meet these athletes in person, right? So those are the motivation for being a volunteer in the events. The third type people that we'll be working with is called outsourcing staff. So for the outsourcing staff is we find out we are unable to do these jobs. So we would like to outsource this task to the third parties and let other company who are specialized in this area that can help us to perform these jobs. So the benefit for having an outsourcing service is can reduce the cost. We don't have to hire people, we don't have to train them, and also because these people are specially has the specialty that we don't normally have, they can help us perform the job better, right? So in what area that we always would like to outsource our service to the third party? So for instance, concession operations. When we're hosting the events, we will need to provide food. A lot of time, you have limited resources, you have limited people to work on that. So you can't provide food, and then we can just outsource this service to say, hey, McDonald's, do you want to be the food provider for our events? So we outsource the service to them. And ticket sales, and merchandise, advertising, accounting, facility maintenance. So when we don't have someone who have that specialties, we can outsource this service to the third party, let the third party to do. So the benefit we talk about, sometimes it can eliminate personal costs, right? So we don't have to hire people to do these things. It's also provide opportunity for us to grow because we have someone who are very good in this area. Since we are not good at all, so we can have a staff work with them to learn something from them and understand how this job could be done. And also they can help the companies operate in a more effective matters, right? Because these people have the expertise, so they're able to do these things well, better. But the potential problems are, first of all, cost, right? It's not free. That is obligation to pay a fixed monthly management. Second thing is control. So sometimes because these people, they're not work for you directly, so because they belongs to third party, the manager, sometimes they might feel it's very hard to control what they do because they are not part of your teams. Third one is loyalty, right? If the employee who are fired or reassigned, some of the manager fear a turnover of the loyalty to this private company, right? For instance, someone has been working with you for like 3 years, suddenly, he changed another job, so he can't really work for you. So you have to go and work with someone else who's completely new, have no idea what this organization and what the event is doing. So that may create some difficulty and challenges for you. So next function is about leading, right? We talk about 4 functions. We spend a lot of time talking about the organizing and planning, so we're not going to spend so much time to talk about the last 2 functions. The first one, the third one is leading. Leading we talk about is we use this social and informal process to influence employees' performance. To be a leader is kind of different compared to a manager, right? The same thing to be between a leader and manager is we all work with people, we all work through people. And the leaders normally concern more about do right things, right? The managers care more about do things right. So manager care more about how we'll be able to get jobs done, right? A leader normally think about how we'll be able to motivate you, not just get jobs done, but we also care about your satisfaction during the process and care more about your feelings. Right, so we talk about the managers, they try to make sure everything is on the right track, right? So when we develop a plan, so we consider more about how to achieve the goal we established at the first place. We focus more on directions. We need to follow that direction, do right things, right? To be a leader, you actually have a broader meaning than managers. For a leader, we need to learn how to motivate people, inspire other employees, and also encourage them to maximize their energy to do right things. We talk about manager care more about direction, leader will focus more about process. How could we learn things from this process? The last process, the last functions in the management is called controlling. Controlling is the process of monitoring employees' performance and taking action to ensure the desired result. We have the plan. In the plan, we set the goal, we set the objective. We also develop idea how we'll be able to achieve this goal and objective. The controlling is we need to understand how we'll be able to examine the process, right? We try to provide some we say constructive feedback is necessary to all the employees who got involved in the process. Let them know whether they're doing a great job or there's some room for improvement. Also, we need to have the evaluation process to help us understand whether we have met this goal or not as the organization. Very important things is we try to provide constructive criticism. Maybe we're not happy with someone's performance. Instead of just criticize about what he has done, we should just give more feedback. Constructive criticism, that means we try to give them more suggestions rather than criticisms. Teach them how they're able to perform better next time, how they could improve their job performance, right? So evaluation is whoever perform better, we should reward them, right? We should motivate them, reward them. Whoever not performing really good, they should have received some sort of punishment, which include lay off some employees. So this is about event staffing. Okay, so that is about today's lecture. Thank you so much for listening to today's lecture. If you have any question, don't hesitate to shoot me an email and let me know. Okay, that's it for today. We'll see you guys next time.